Turkey has dismissed calls from France and Germany to stop its shelling of Kurdish fighters in Syria. Ankara is targeting the YPG militia it sees as an extension of the banned PKK, a Kurdish group which has waged an insurgency on Turkish soil. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia has sent aircraft to a Turkish airbase to join the fight against the jihadist group ISIL. The move, according to the Saudi foreign minister, is also in anticipation of any escalation in hostilities.
We have said that should the US-led coalition make a decision to introduce ground troops into Syria, that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia would be prepared to participate by deploying special forces with those troops.
The increasingly complex situation doesn't as yet appear to have been eased by Friday's agreement by major powers to a limited ceasefire in Syria. It's due to take effect by the end of the week, but Russia has continued its bombing of what it calls terrorists in support of the Syrian regime. On Sunday, US and Russian leaders spoke by phone, agreeing the need to rush in humanitarian aid. On the ground, the fighting north of Damascus and Aleppo goes on. The Syrian army has urged citizens to seek what it terms reconciliation with the government. So-called local agreements have been used by the regime to increase pressure on insurgents, forcing them to surrender.
The asylum seekers keep coming, and Europe keeps arguing over what to do. Seeking to stem the flow across the continent, Central and Eastern European leaders are today debating plans to help tighten border security in the Balkans. But Germany, which has borne the brunt of the influx in this migration crisis, objects, amid warnings that any closure of borders into the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia and Bulgaria would simply strand migrants arriving in Greece. It's already overwhelmed and facing an EU ultimatum to get its house in order. But plans for a refugee reception centre on the Greek island of Kos have sparked protests by locals. In the latest rally, some 2,000 people gathered for what turned into an angry confrontation with police. Many on Kos fear a so-called migrant hotspot would hurt tourism, the island's main source of income.
Control of the US Supreme Court has taken centre stage in the country's presidential campaign with the death of one of its most conservative judges. Arguments are raging over the nomination of a successor to Justice Antonin Scalia, whose sudden death was announced on Saturday. The court normally has 9 judges, and before his demise it had a conservative 5-4 majority. Democratic President Barack Obama has claimed his constitutional right to nominate a candidate despite nearing the end of his term. The prospect drew swift and furious comments from Republican candidates during a televised debate as they vie with each other to be elected president in November. Democratic presidential candidates Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton have called on Obama to move quickly. In the past, the court has successfully stalled major efforts by the Obama administration on climate change and immigration. However, appointing a liberal replacement for Scalia is not straightforward. Whoever Obama proposes, he will have to get it past the Republican-led Senate, raising the prospect of a major political showdown.
Ms. Collins.
Pope Francis has celebrated Mass in one of Mexico's poorest and most dangerous cities, Ecatepec, where murders, kidnappings and extortion are rife. Pontiff denounced deep inequality and decried the country's rich and corrupt elite.
Esa riqueza que es el pan con sabor a dolor, amargura, a sufrimiento.
He says that wealth which tastes of pain, bitterness and suffering, this is the bread that a corrupt family or society gives its own children. For the remainder of his 5-day trip to Mexico, Francis planned to visit some of the poorest and most violent corners of the country. The pontiff earlier flew over the pyramids of the ancient city of Teotihuacan.
Federal police have carried out the largest drugs bust of liquid amphetamine in Australian history. $1 billion worth of ice, as it's known, was found hidden inside gel bra inserts and art supplies in a number of locations across Sydney. 4 Chinese nationals were charged on suspicion of involvement in a drug syndicate.
The joint organised crime group operation began in December last year when the Australian Border Force examined a shipping container out of Hong Kong. That shipping container was found to contain gel bra inserts, and hidden inside those gel bra inserts was 190 litres of liquid methamphetamine.
The ring allegedly imported 720 litres of meth into New South Wales. Last year, Australian authorities set up a national task force to tackle a crystal meth epidemic after finding around 2.1% of the population had sampled the drug in some form in 2014.